There he is. Whoop,
Where
for a
is it?
minute, for a second.
Okay.
Come
Oh,
back to us, Rick.
come on. I know how to do this stuff. I swear, I swear. I need that glass and so I can see my screen. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. So let's see.
There you go.
Oh, okay, cool, cool.
Okay, cool.
All right, we're in business. Okay.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing fine. And yourself?
Fabulous, fabulous.
Good.
We're loving the conference. We're bringing fabulous information, a lot of interaction. And today I'm really happy that you're here with us because I really would like to hear from a male's point of view. A lot of caregiving is female.
Right,
But
right.
I don't think so much more because, recently I did a analytics on my YouTube channel and the majority of my newest listeners are men from the age of 40 to 60.
Oh, okay, good.
So
Let's
I think
see.
there's a lot more men that are in the caregiving arena and want to
Yeah,
learn more about it. And I also think men get their information from YouTube.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
All
Well,
right.
should I begin?
Yes, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about
Right,
yourself, and we're good to
right.
go.
Will do. Hi, I'm Rck Henkin. First, I'd like to thank you, Linda, for creating this incredible opportunity for experts and caregivers to come together. This is really, I've told a lot of people about this. So, my story. In January 2020, my wife Sonia was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 65. Our lives changed just like all of yours. We have six granddaughters, and Sonia went from being their best friend, crawling around on the floor with them, playing dress up and makeup, to being the scary grandma and becoming disruptive to the whole family. For a while, she developed Capgras syndrome, which is named after a French psychologist from the 1920s. It's an irrational belief that the person whose face she recognizes, me, is an imposter. We'd be sitting on the sofa, and all of a sudden, she'd look at me and she'd say, "Where do you live? Don't you have any friends? I want you out of here before I call the police." Then she'd run next door to tell the neighbors about the strange man in her house. So I'd take a walk for about 45 minutes, come back and find her crying, asking where I'd been because she had no recollection of what had taken place. Needless to say, it was frustrating, stressful, and angering. Sonia went to a specialized adult daycare for a while, and I never knew what I was going to get when she came home. What I did know is the toll that the burden of care could take on my own health. It's a significant medical phenomenon. It's the psychological, emotional, physical, and financial stressors associated with caregiving. It's the reason the family caregivers often end up in the hospital before their loved ones. I was determined not to let this be my story. So I researched online, figuring there had to be answers. After all, this couldn't be a new issue. But on website after website, I found the same basic information. Take a break, find 15 minutes, exercise, meditate, etc. And while that's all helpful information, it had nothing to do with my emotions and the feelings that I had. And that's when I realized I had to do this myself because mine was the only brain that could change, certainly not Sonia's. So I worked and worked on myself until I finally arrived at my heaven island. That's what I call it. It's a state of peace, acceptance, and clarity where I could care for Sonia without losing myself in the process. And then I decided to see if I might be able to help other caregivers. I looked on Facebook and found dozens and dozens of groups for family caregivers with thousands and thousands of members. I'd read their comments. I remember a few, I pray and cry a lot. I'm exhausted. I have no friends. When will this be over? My life is on hold. Depression has set in. One woman was even contemplating suicide because she felt it was easier than taking care of her husband. And honestly, it made me want to cry. So I created Caregiver Mastery based on my experience. It's a step-by-step roadmap designed to help caregivers eliminate their stress, anger, resentment, and their guilt. And what I'd like to do is just share a few things I've put in my course that I think will help you too. Like many of you, I faced moments of doubt in my ability as a caregiver. The truth is, none of us were ever taught how to navigate this. There wasn't a course in high school or college to prepare us for this journey. We're essentially figuring it out as we go. But let me tell you something unequivocally. This is for all caregivers listening. You're doing the best you can, and that's good enough. It's important to recognize that how your loved one is progressing has nothing to do with your caregiving. You're not in control of the disease's progress. No matter how amazing a caregiver you might be, the disease will continue to move forward. Along those same lines, don't see your loved one's behavior as a reflection of you or your value. Now, I know a lot of people mean well, but there are always those armchair generals who like to tell us what we should do without ever stepping into our shoes. These folks offer advice with little understanding of dementia or our unique journey, but their comments do not define your success as a caregiver. In fact, I challenge you to ask one of them to take over for just a weekend. They might start singing a very different tune. Thoughts are just thoughts, not absolute truth. Let me share a little bit about my experience. I do so much for Sonia, making sure she's safe, protected, and cared for. Buy her clothing, supplies, arrange doctor, dentist appointments, help her shower and change clothes. I take her for walks, we visit friends, or we go out to lunch. I even make sure she gets her hair colored and her nails done, because I know that's something she would do for herself if she was capable. And yet, she doesn't recognize all these things, nor does she thank me for the sacrifices I made. Every now and then, I'll get an "I love you," and it's amazing when that happens. If you ever find yourself doubting your abilities as a caregiver, pause and ask yourself, how does this thought serve me? How does it restrict me? How much unnecessary pressure, stress, and anxiety is it adding to my life? What would happen if I change this thought? Then take it a step further. Try to rewrite that thought by taking some practical steps. For example, if you think, I'm not doing enough, remind yourself of all that you do every single day. No matter how great we are as caregivers, our loved ones are going to decline. That's the disease, not our caregiving. Here's some more examples. See if any of these resonate with you. Nobody can do as good a job as I do. I'm not a good caregiver according to my family. My loved one won't accept help from anyone else. If I ask for help, I'll be imposing a burden on others. This is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. I should be able to do everything on my own. Asking for help means I'm failing. I must put my needs last. Taking time for myself is selfish, and on and on. Here's some steps to help you with these thoughts. Challenge their accuracy. Ask yourself, is there evidence to support or refute this belief? Are there alternative explanations or points of view that are more empowering and realistic? Reframe and replace. Take those limiting beliefs and rewrite them with positive affirmations or realistic statements. For example, if you think I'm not doing enough, reframe it as I'm doing the best I can, and that is enough. Practice affirmations. Create personalized affirmations that focus on your strengths, resilience, and ability to provide care effectively. Repeat them daily, especially when negative thoughts arise. Visualize success. Imagine yourself overcoming challenges and providing excellent care. This simple technique can enhance your motivation and foster optimism. Above all, don't let the negative comments of others take hold of you. Your value as a caregiver isn't defined by what they say, it's defined by the love and effort you put into caring for your loved one. So just to repeat what I said at the beginning, you're doing the best you can, and that's good enough. Now, here's another bit of wisdom. And really think about this. What if the biggest source of stress in your caregiving journey isn't your loved one's behavior, but your reaction to it? Let that sink in. I know it might sound tough to hear, but once I discovered this truth, it changed everything about how I show up for my son, show up for Sonia and for myself. My journey as a family caregiver has been a life-changing experience in more ways than I could have imagined. And if you're here, it's likely because you're on a similar path, caring for someone you love with dementia. I want to share a key insight that has made a profound difference in my life and might just help you too. Stop fighting against the way things are. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done, especially when you're in the thick of caregiving. But when we stop resisting reality, when we stop wishing things were different or trying to force them to change, we relieve an enormous portion of the stress that caregiving brings. For a long time, I didn't see this. I was constantly frustrated with Sonia. I'd find myself thinking things like, why does she keep doing that when I've asked her not to? Why doesn't she listen to me? Is she doing this on purpose just to push my buttons? Do you ever find yourself thinking these things about your loved one? I wish I could see you guys, but of course you do. That's why you get upset. I want to help you understand something critical, and that's the cause and effect relationship that's at play here. Depending on the stage of dementia your loved one is in, they may no longer be able to reason, to see the logic in what you're saying, or to understand the why behind your requests. You could yell, scream, or plead with them, but all that accomplishes is upsetting both of you. Trust me, I've been there. I've raised my voice in moments of frustration only to see the pain and confusion in Sonia's eyes, and afterward, I would feel terrible about it. Here's what I learned. As long as you resist a situation, it will cling to you like a shadow. That frustration, that stress, it'll follow you everywhere you go, building up inside until it starts to take a serious toll on your health and well-being. I also know this. Understanding a concept intellectually is one thing, but implementing it, changing your mindset, and adopting a new way of looking at things, that's an entirely different challenge. For a long time, I struggled to let go of my frustrations. I clung to the belief that if I could just get Sonia to see reason, everything would improve. But that belief wasn't helping either of us. Eventually, I came to a conclusion that changed everything. Continuing to get upset wasn't helping Sonia, and it certainly wasn't helping me. My frustration and anger were affecting my health, and by extension, our relationship. So I started a new habit. Every time I felt frustration bubbling up, I would pause and ask myself, what's more important here, adding to my stress and raising my blood pressure, or living a healthier, longer life? When I framed it that way, the choice became clear. It's a matter of priorities. My health matters not just for me, but for Sonia too. After all, if I'm not well, how can I be the best caregiver for her? This is something I want you to consider as well. Which is more important to you? If this sounds dramatic, let me share a sobering fact I read in the Journal of the American Medical Association. They did a survey, and they said that family caregivers have a 63% higher risk of dying than their peers who aren't caregivers. Think about that, 63%. Caregiving can literally take years off your life if you let the stress overwhelm you. But here's the good news. You have the power to change how you respond to stress. One practice that has become a game changer for me is learning to detach emotionally from the situation. That doesn't mean I stop caring. It means I stop letting the situation dictate my emotional state. When I feel frustration or anger rising, I remind myself of a simple yet powerful affirmation. And that affirmation is, none of these things move me. I say it to myself like a mantra. It helps me stay grounded and calm no matter what's happening around me. The truth is, when we stop fighting against the way things are, we give ourselves and our loved ones a priceless gift, and that's peace. Let me be clear, accepting the reality of the situation doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to misery. It's about choosing to face the situation with compassion and grace instead of resistance and frustration. When we do this, we shift our focus away from what we can't control and toward what we can. No matter how frustrating the situation might be, try to accept it without judging yourself. Caregiving is hard. You're going to have moments of frustration, anger, and even guilt. That's part of being human. What matters is how you move forward from those moments. When I stopped fighting against the way things are, I noticed an incredible transformation in my own life. My stress levels dropped, my health improved, and most importantly, Sonia and I began to enjoy more peaceful moments together. Those moments are precious, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. I know this isn't easy, it takes practice, but I promise you it's worth the effort. Each time you catch yourself starting to feel upset or frustrated, take a deep breath and remind yourself of what's truly important. Your health and well-being matter, not just for you, but for your loved one too. When you let go of the fight, you'll find the weight of those frustrating situations begins to fade away. You'll be able to approach caregiving with a calmer, clearer mind, and that benefits everyone involved. Take it from someone who's been there. I know all of you have been there. I know how hard this journey can be, but I also know the incredible strength and love that drives you to show up for your loved one every day. I care about you, and I want you to have the best quality of life possible for yourself and for the person you're caring for. Just remember, stop fighting against the way things are. When you do, you relieve an enormous portion of your stress, improve your health, and increase the quality of life for both you and your loved one. Here's another piece that I think we often forget. Have you ever had a moment in caregiving so chaotic, all you could do is laugh? Wait till you hear what my wife did at IHOP, the International House of Pancakes. As anyone walking this journey knows, caregiving can be emotionally draining. There are moments of stress, frustration, anger, and sadness. But over time, I found that one of the best ways to lighten the load and reduce these feelings is to look for the humor in the situations we find ourselves in. I've learned to laugh, not at Sonia, but at the unexpected and often endearing moments that Alzheimer's brings into our lives. These moments aren't planned, they're certainly not intentional, but they have a way of standing out, reminding me that joy still exists. Let me share a few stories with you. One time I walked in on Sonia in the bathroom and I saw her putting toothpaste in her hair. Well, naturally, I had to ask, why are you putting toothpaste in your hair? She just looked at me and laughed. I guess she thought it was funny too. Now, I don't know if toothpaste is a good hair conditioner, but you know what? Her hair smelled minty fresh for the rest of the day. Then there was a time we were at a farmer's market. Thank you. Sonia has a natural magnetism toward kids and dogs. She just adores them. So when a little toddler wandered away from his mom, Sonia, ever the helper, picked him up and carried him over to another woman, offering him as if to say, here's your child. The woman, of course, said, no, that's not my child. Thankfully, the mom came over quickly and recognized what was happening. I was concerned about how she might react, but she was incredibly understanding. In fact, she gave Sonia a hug, and Sonia, being Sonia, kissed her on the cheek. It was really a touching moment of humanity and kindness. Another time, we were out for a walk when we passed a woman breastfeeding her baby behind her car. Sonia, in her sweet and sincere way, stopped and said hello, and then asked, do you need any help? The woman, though surprised, smiled and said, no, thank you. It was one of those moments where you can't help but appreciate Sonia's good heart and her unique way of connecting with people. And last summer, we were at my sister-in-law's house for a barbecue. Afterward, we walked to a nearby park where there was a live music concert. Hundreds of people enjoying picnics, sitting on blankets and folding chairs, soaking in the music. I was holding Sonia's hand as we walked through the crowd, and then I noticed something in her left hand. Sonia was holding a 3/4 full bottle of Diet Pepsi. I thought to myself, I didn't buy that for her. Where? I can only imagine someone later realizing their drink was missing. And
Yeah.
of course, there's a story I often tell about a trip, the International House of Pancakes, IHOP. Let me tell you what happened when I took my beautiful wife, Sonia, to IHOP. It started off as a typical breakfast outing, just a nice little treat for both of us. Sonia loves her pancakes, and honestly, I enjoy the small moments we get to share like that. But as it often happens, life decided to throw in a bit of comedy. While I was paying the server at our table, Sonia, who let me tell you was incredibly fast, managed to get up, wander over to another table, and grab a piece of someone else's pancake. My first reaction was to panic. But before I could even process what had just happened, the gentleman whose pancake she borrowed was all smiles. He was so kind, just like most people are when they see us out and about. He offered her the piece of pancake like it was no big deal. I, I thanked the man, apologized, tried to usher Sonia back, and thought, okay, let's just wrap this up quickly and head out. But oh no, the comedy didn't end there. In my mad dash to leave the restaurant as discreetly as possible, I accidentally opened the only alarmed emergency exit,
Oh,
the kind that blares a loud, piercing siren for everyone in the restaurant to hear. So now picture this. Sonia is standing there contentedly as if nothing happened. The man is smiling at her, and I'm the guy holding the alarm door open with everyone staring at us. One thing after another. At that point, what else can you do but laugh? And I did laugh,
exactly.
because here's the thing. What could have been a moment of embarrassment or frustration turned into a moment of joy simply because I chose to see the humor in it. So caregiving has a way
And
of,
when you see the humor in it, other people see the humor in it.
that's true.
You
That's
know,
exactly.
there are people putting laughs in the chat room here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. That was funny. That was
Yeah.
funny. Caregiving has a way of throwing curveballs at you, but it also gives you the chance to find joy in unexpected places. So my message is this: when life throws moments at you, don't take yourself too seriously. Find the funny side, laugh it off, and keep moving forward. Sometimes those are the stories you'll treasure the most. These moments are part of our lives now, and while they might be chaotic or unexpected in the moment, they become memories I cherish. They're reminders to me, and hopefully to you, that it's important to look for the humor, not to make fun of our loved ones, but to help ourselves cope with the emotions we feel as caregivers. Humor has a way of diffusing stress and replacing frustration with gratitude. It shifts your perspective and helps you see the beauty and connection in the midst of the challenges. These stories, these moments, they're gifts. They allow me to laugh, to connect with others, and to create memories that I'll hold on to forever. So again, my message to you is simple. Look for the humor in your own caregiving journey. Whether it's a small, funny incident or a moment of kindness from a stranger, let these experiences lighten your heart. They're not just stories, they're a way to transform the tough days into something beautiful. I don't know how much time I have here, Linda. Okay, keep going. Okay, another bit of wisdom.
And you have plenty of time. You have like a
Oh,
half hour.
okay, let me ask you a question. Are you drowning in guilt as a caregiver? Do you lie awake thinking, I should have done more today? Or why did I snap like that? You're not alone. And I want to show you how to stop guilt from stealing your peace. One of the heaviest emotions caregivers carry is guilt. Guilt is so common when you're caring for someone with dementia. It can feel relentless, like no matter what you do, it's never enough. But here's the truth. Guilt is not a sign of failure. It's often a sign that you care deeply. You've probably had thoughts like, I wish I could do more. I feel awful for losing my patients. I just need a break, but I feel selfish for wanting one. Does that sound familiar? Those thoughts don't make you a bad caregiver. They make you human. The pressure we put on ourselves is enormous. We think we're supposed to be endlessly patient, always cheerful, and somehow manage everything perfectly. But no one can do that, not even the pros. Again, I can't hear all of you. Linda, you say this with me out loud. I'm doing my best, and that's more than enough.
I'm doing my best, and that's more than enough.
Perfect. Thank you. We all have moments when we feel overwhelmed or exhausted. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're real. One thing that's helped me a lot is this simple shift. Whenever I feel guilty, I ask myself, what would I say to a close friend who felt this way? I'd never beat them up. I'd give them grace, compassion, reassurance. Now I try to offer that same kindness to myself. You deserve it too. And here's the thing, guilt isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's your mind's way of saying, hey, you might need more support, or it's time to rest, or you're running on empty. Instead of letting it spiral into self-criticism, try to pause and ask yourself, what is this guilt trying to tell me? Then respond with kindness, not judgment. Being a successful caregiver doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up, doing your best, and learning to adapt. Some days will be hard. Some days you'll snap. I've been there. We all have. If that happens, take a breath, forgive yourself, and move forward. One bad moment doesn't define your caregiving journey. And here's another thought. If the roles were reversed, if your loved one were the caregiver, they'd probably feel the same guilt you do because they care as deeply as you do. So instead of letting guilt weigh you down, let it remind you just how much love you're giving. That's powerful. That's beautiful. That's worth celebrating. Whenever guilt creeps in, try replacing I'm failing with I'm doing my best even when it's hard. It's a small shift, but it can change everything. And let's be honest, caregiving can be incredibly lonely. Friends may not fully understand. Some family members might not pitch in, and the world keeps moving like nothing's changed, while your world, our world, has been turned upside down. But I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not alone. There's a whole community of caregivers out there who get it, who cry in their car, power through their exhaustion, and love fiercely through the chaos. You are seen, you are appreciated. Even if no one says it today, I want you to hear it. You're doing an incredible job. You don't have to carry the weight alone, and you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of rest, support, or peace. If you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or like you're losing yourself in caregiving, you're not alone. Give yourself permission to breathe, to rest, and to heal. Let me give you another bit of wisdom. It's natural for you to wish your loved one was with you when you're out having a good time. We all feel that way. Again, it's part of being human. When you're sitting at a restaurant with friends, laughing, enjoying a good meal, and suddenly your mind flashes to your loved one sitting at home or in a care facility. It's easy to feel like you're doing something wrong. Maybe you think if they can't enjoy life the way they used to, why should I? Maybe you feel guilty for laughing, for smiling, for living. But let me ask you this. By denying yourself joy, does it improve your loved one's life? Does it make their condition any better? Does it ease their struggles? The answer is no. Denying yourself happiness does nothing to improve your loved one's quality of life. But what it does do is diminish yours. It makes you feel exhausted, emotionally depleted, and trapped in the cycle of guilt. And when you're worn down like that, caregiving becomes even harder. I know this because I lived it. Soon after Sonia moved into a memory care facility, she's at home now. A friend called me up, invited me over for dinner. Several of our close friends would be there, and there was a chance to socialize. But there was hesitation in my friend's voice. She wasn't sure if Sonia should come because she thought it might be overwhelming for her. And my immediate reaction was, no, if she can't come, I'm not coming either. At that moment, it felt like the right decision. Sonia and I had always been together. It felt wrong to enjoy something without her. I thought, how can I go out and have a nice evening while she's not able to? But later that night, sitting alone in my quiet house, something hit me. I had a choice, the same choice every caregiver faces at some point. I could sit at home, isolate myself, and allow guilt to control me, or I could go out, connect with friends, and allow myself to experience life beyond caregiving. And when I really thought about it, I realized something even deeper. My decision to go or stay home had no impact on Sonia's well-being. She wasn't suffering because I went to dinner. She wasn't feeling abandoned or deprived. The only person suffering was me because I was making the choice to stay stuck in guilt. So let me ask you guys, do you make this? Are you ever making that same choice? Are you holding yourself back from living because you feel like you don't deserve to be happy? If so, I want to ask you to think about something. Imagine the roles were reversed. Imagine you were the one with dementia or a serious illness, and your loved one was taking care of you. Would you want them to stop living? Would you want them to sit at home lonely and isolated just because you couldn't go out and join them? Of course not. You'd want them to enjoy their life, to be happy, to have fun. So why would your loved one want anything different for you? That realization changed everything for me. From that moment forward, I made a decision. When I want to go out, I arrange for someone to be with Sonia, and I go. I give myself permission to enjoy life. I remind myself that by taking care of myself, I'm actually taking better care of her. And
Exactly.
when I come home, I'm in a much better mood. And that makes all the difference because energy is contagious. When you're stressed, exhausted, and frustrated, your loved one feels that energy. But when you're happy, relaxed, and at peace, they feel that too. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential.
Yeah.
Because a caregiver who is mentally, emotionally, and physically drained is not a good caregiver. So let me say this again. Denying yourself joy does not increase your loved one's quality of life, but it does rob you of yours. And life is too short for that.
Amen.
Thank you. If you're struggling with guilt about taking time for yourself, I want you to really think about this. If your loved one could tell you what they truly wanted for you, you think they'd say, yes, please stay miserable. Stop socializing. Stop enjoying life. No, they would want you to live. So give yourself permission to do just that. Remember, your happiness matters too.
Well, I have to tell you, Rick, too. So lots of times people say, "Oh, I'm good, I'm good." They don't even realize, number one, they're gritting their teeth
Right?
because they need a break. And I say this is what I say to caregivers all the time. You may think that you're the bomb caregiver, and only
Right.
you can do it, and no one knows it better than you. But I think sometimes your loved one is sitting there and they're saying under their breath, "Could you go away for a little while and take a break and have somebody else
I
come in here?" It's
like that.
true.
You're
It's
probably right.
yeah.
It's funny. There are times when Sonia will say, I'll say, I love you. And she'll say, I love you. Get out of here. I don't know
Yeah.
where it comes from. She'll actually say, get out of here right after she says, I love you.
Yeah.
So that points up what you're saying. It's fun.
Yeah.
I tell myself, Sonia didn't choose this, and neither did I.
No.
But it's the hand we've been dealt. And while we can't control the disease, we can control how we respond to it. We can choose patience over frustration, kindness over anger, and acceptance over resistance. These choices, they're not always easy, but they're worth it. Another thing to keep in mind is that your loved one isn't the only one who needs compassion. You do too. Caregiving can be exhausting, emotionally draining, and isolating. So make sure you're finding ways to recharge, whether that's through support groups, talking to friends, or simply taking time to do something you enjoy. You deserve care and kindness just as much as your loved one does. Here's one other thought, and it has to do with gratitude. And most of us probably think, what should I be grateful for? Be grateful.
Everything.
Be great. Yes. Be grateful it didn't happen 10 years earlier because now you have 10 more years of memories. That's important. So, like I said earlier, it's time to give yourself permission to breathe, to rest, and to heal. And you can, again, I don't know how all this is laid out. I have this course that I created based on my own experiences. It's caregivermasterycourse.com. And you're welcome to join me there to get started, or email me if you like. It's Rick at forfamilycaregivers.com. That's FOR, Rick at forfamilycaregivers.com.
So, Rick, what are you finding caregivers are coming to you today, these days, with is their biggest challenge?
Well, I think it's the same challenges as have always been. It's their stress levels, their frustration, all of that. See, my focus is on the caregivers. Not that I'm ignoring our loved ones, of
Right.
course, but my focus is on the caregivers because these are the people that oftentimes end up in the hospital long before their loved ones. And they may not realize how the stress is harming them, harming their health. Look, I explained what the Journal of the American Medical
Yeah.
Association said. I mean, that's huge. 63% higher risk of dying than
Yeah.
people who aren't caregivers.
But that number has gone down in the past couple of years. It was a little higher when I first started caregiving.
Yeah,
I think we're learning a little bit there. And
that's
and
great.
and I want to read something that somebody put in the chat when you first started speaking.
Sure.
Uh, the person said, this kind of mindset shift also helped me deal with siblings who don't help. One day
Yes.
it occurred to me they would never be able to do what I do for our mother. So it's just as well they aren't getting in my way.
It really is all about a mind shift. And I also realized that the things in my course, the principles can apply to any area of life. It
Yeah,
can apply to relationships, whatever it may be. One of the things, there were two guiding principles that helped me, and I talk about them in my course. One of those principles, see, when I was doing all of this and I was, working on myself, I didn't
yeah,
know what I was doing. I was just working on my mind. I realized later there was a name for what I was doing, but our thoughts create our feelings, which create our behavior.
right.
It's important to recognize that it's never the circumstances of a situation which creates your feelings. It's what you choose to think about that situation to create your feelings. By the same token, it's never your loved one's behavior that creates your feelings of stress, anger, resentment, or guilt. It's what you choose to think about their behavior that creates your feelings. That's really the key to your own health, which ultimately affects your quality of life and your loved one's quality of life. It's a choice. That's the great thing. We have a choice in our thoughts. And some of you are watching or listening right now, and you may be thinking, who is this guy? Why should I listen to him? You're annoyed or irritated. Others of you may be thinking, maybe he's onto something. I'm at the end of my rope. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you're feeling desperate and depressed. Still, others may be listening and thinking, this sounds pretty good. This sounds like what I've been waiting for. And you're feeling hopeful and optimistic. Three different groups, all watching and listening to the same message, but with three different thoughts and three different feelings. So the first thing to understand is that you're in charge of your thoughts. You have a choice. And when you change your mindset, your thoughts change, your feelings change, and your behavior changes. And I'm not talking about
But
stuffing
your whole attitude changes too, because once you get into that groove of doing that, you know you can do it.
Absolutely. It's just practice. And I'm
Right.
not I'm not talking about stuffing your feelings. I'm talking about looking at things
Yeah.
differently. Out here, I'm in Los Angeles. I saw a quote painted on the side of a building from Maya Angelou. And it said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if our thoughts affect our feelings and our feelings affect our behavior and you don't like your behavior, change your thoughts.
Yeah.
Also, remember that if we're feeling agitated, our loved ones are going to pick up on that and feel agitated too. If we're calm, they're calm. There was another principle that I came across that I mentioned in my course. You do not have to believe your thoughts. I mentioned it earlier this morning. They're just thoughts, not absolute truth. And I'll give you an example. Picture two paraplegics, okay? Both in wheelchairs, both the same age, both as a result of a car accident. Why is it the one is bemoaning his life? My life is over. No one's ever going to love me. And the other person's out playing wheelchair basketball, having a good time. It's all up here. It's all
Yeah.
mindset. It's all attitude. It's the way they look at things. And I'm not suggesting that if you change your mindset, everything's going to be hunky dory, skip to Malou, my darling. No, you'll still have feelings of sadness. After all, this is your loved one. I still get sad. I still cry over Sonia. But what I don't get is angry, stressed, resentful, or feel guilty, which doesn't benefit either one of us.
All right. Somebody says, I'm not angry with my loved one. I understand that they have a disease.
Mhm.
I'm angry with my friends that don't understand. How do I get over that?
Again, yours is the only brain that can change. You're not going to be able to change your loved ones until they live it themselves. They don't understand. I have a son who does not visit his mom, doesn't call, doesn't do anything. I have two other kids that do. I'm not going to change him. I think he'll regret it down the road, but the only brain that can change is yours. So you have to decide, I'm not going to let it bother me anymore. It's their issue, not my issue, because it's more important for me to be at peace.
She says, I don't think they understand the issue. Did you like sit down with your friends and say, okay, this is the deal now?
I mean, with respect to Sonia,
Yeah.
well, I continued for us to see our friends and get together at their house, our house, go out to lunch with Sonia. So they all understood, and they're all very loving and caring about Sonia. We just celebrated Sonia's birthday last month, and 14 of them came over. We had brunch. I know that doesn't answer this woman's question, but again, yours is the only brain that can change. You can let it bother you about your family members, or decide, you know what, that's their issue. Maybe one day they'll understand. I mean, I hope they don't understand in terms of having to deal with it themselves. But there's all you
But you know what, Rick? I do think you have to educate them a little bit. If
oh
they have
yeah,
never
yeah.
been exposed to someone that has even cognitive issues, I think people, since they don't understand it, they just back off because they
Well,
don't know what to do. They don't know how to act. They just don't know.
I mean, have you ever invited them over with your loved one, or gone out to eat with your loved one? I don't know if your loved one's capable, but at least invite them over so they can get a better understanding firsthand that way. Or maybe even, gee, how about saying, hey, can you watch my husband for an hour? I've got a doctor's appointment or whatever, and let them deal with it. And then they have a better understanding.
Yeah, they see. Well, you know what the thing is too, and we discussed this earlier today in the conference also, is that unfortunately there's still a stigma. And people don't want to say my loved one has Alzheimer's. They're okay with saying my loved one
Oh,
has cancer, but they're
yeah.
not okay with it saying. And I think today, though, we're discussing it more. And I think I just said, especially where I live in Florida, believe me, I bet you that there's 10% of the people or more in the complex that I live in that have some kind of cognitive impairment, but nobody's talking about it.
Right. Yeah, you're right. There is a stigma, and I do believe, like you say, that's changing. As more of us grow older and more of us are afflicted, it becomes more common.
We're living longer,
Yeah.
a while back I was in my mailroom and there were two ladies in there that I didn't know. And one
Mhm.
lady opened up her box and it was so full that all the mail fell out on the floor. And she started to cry. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, it's only mail, and I'm
Right.
helping her pick up the mail. And she says, oh my goodness. She says, my husband has dementia and I can't even get my mail anymore. And the
Yeah.
other lady says, my husband has dementia too. And I said, you know what, ladies? You need to be friends and you
Mhm.
need to be friends with me. And
Support each
now I
other.
see the four of them walking around the complex together.
Oh, that's nice.
I saw the four of them go out to dinner together.
Yeah,
Well, we need to talk about it. We need to
absolutely.
let people know.
Absolutely.
And
Um,
if they can't accept it, then okay, all right. But at least you tried.
yeah, I mean, it's uh those who have dementia, they didn't ask for it. And it could
No.
just as easily been us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
But another thing I want to say too is
Sure.
accept help.
Yes.
Accept help. So uh, after my mom passed away, I was in the supermarket one day and a friend of mine came up to me and she said, how you doing, Linda? And I said, I'm okay. And she
Mhm.
said to me, I'm sick of hearing that from you. I said, excuse me? She
Yeah.
said, I have to tell you, when you took care of your mother, you stole my joy. I said, what?
Hmm.
And she said, Linda, I could see you swimming in quicksand. And every time I asked to help you, you said, no, I'm okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
not only did you not let me help you, you didn't give me the privilege of meeting your mom. Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Oh
uh,
my goodness. But it's true. That's something that we
yeah.
need to think about. I had one woman that was in a support group and she said, Linda, I've given up everything because my husband's behavior is just out of control. but I don't want to stop going to church. I want to still be able to just go to church.
Yeah.
He said, so my neighbor is Jewish. So I
Hmm.
went next door and I asked him, do you think you could hang out with my husband when I go to church? And he said, I would love to do that.
Nice.
Said, so the first Sunday, she said, I ran to church. When the service was over, I ran home. And when I got home, the two of them were playing dominoes and they said, we don't need you here.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's
now
such.
every Sunday morning they play games for 3 hours, 3 hours,
Yeah.
and she gets
Wow.
time to go to church and maybe go out to breakfast with a friend or whatever.
It's
So,
amazing. It's amazing how willing people are to help if you ask them if they
right,
love you. Look,
if you say yes,
this woman that you were talking about, this woman obviously loves you and cares about you, Linda.
yeah,
To even say that, uh,
right.
it's
You have to
beautiful.
say yes,
Yeah, absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
and not think that you're the only one that can do it.
Right, right,
You
right. And
know,
that's just not the case.
no, it's not the case.
No.
So, what's the last thing you would like our listeners to hear today?
Um, take care of yourself because you're important. Your health is important. When you're healthy, your quality of life is better, your loved one's quality of life is better, your relationship is better. It's just, and I guess the main my main focus to say to people is look at things differently. You have the only brain that can change. And again, it's so important to look out for your own health for all the stated reasons.
And even if that just starts today, no regrets. Okay, no
Mhm.
regrets.
Yeah,
Yesterday was yesterday. Today
absolutely.
we can do whatever we want to do, and it's like I tell my grandchildren and my great grandchildren now.
Mhm.
I tell them only hang out with people that celebrate you.
Oh, that's nice. Do they understand that? The
Yeah,
grandchildren?
yeah, because the
Yeah,
more you start to say it, they get it, kind of
I
thing.
like that. I like
Uh,
that. Can I use that, Linda?
oh, yeah, of course you can.
Or do I have to pay a royalty, a nickel
No,
royalty?
not me.
When I say it?
Anyway,
Okay.
well, it's just like when I say I'm joyful and grateful.
Right.
Years ago, I was going through a tough time. And
Yeah.
people would say to me, how you doing? And I always said I was hanging in there. Ugh,
Right.
who
Yeah.
wants to be hanging in there?
Right.
So one day I said, I'm never saying that again. And I always say, I'm joyful and grateful. And
Yeah.
sometimes people look at me with a little nod of their head and I say,
Yeah.
some days I'm joyfully challenged, but I'm always
Yeah.
grateful. But if
That's
10 different
funny.
people ask me during the day, the lady at the supermarket, the garbage man or whoever it is, how are you today? And I say I'm joyful and grateful. Guess what? I'm joyful and grateful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
I
you're
mean, if we
convincing
walk
them to
around all
be.
day saying I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired,
Right.
guess what?
You're tired. And yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's another thing I think we need to look at as we start our day and our caregiving journeys to be grateful for what we do have. If
Hmm.
you have the opportunity to get yourself a little gratitude journal and just people say, I don't have time to write in any journal, Linda, but maybe you could just write three things, just 3 words, 3 things that you're grateful for.
Right. Right.
And it changes everything.
It really does.
It
It really
changes
does.
everything. And it changes for your loved one too. My
Yeah.
one caregiver that writes and does write a bit in her journal, and her mother
Hmm.
always asks her, what are you writing in there? And she says, at first I felt like saying none of your business. He says, but now I tell her some of the stuff, and we're actually having some interesting conversations about
Yeah.
things that maybe we would never would have spoken about before.
Yeah.
And taking that time, which I know you do with Sonia, just taking that one-on-one time and appreciating.
Yeah. There's another thing. Um, and I realized some time ago when I was putting Sonia to bed, we as caregivers are cast in a role that a lot of people aren't in because our loved ones depend on us. We have the ability, I now call it the gift, to make the rest of their lives joyful or miserable.
Yeah,
And I know when the time comes, I don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done
yeah,
that. It's going to come. It's going to come. And I'm not going to be one of those people. It's making me start to cry now.
yeah. But,
Yeah.
and I believe what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, treat people right. We're all, I say we're all the same schmoes.
Hmm.
We want our health, we want to be loved, we want a roof over our head. We may have different hobbies or different interests or whatever, but basically we are exactly the same. And when you
Hmm.
realize that, you make so many new friends and you're not
Yeah.
judging anybody. But somebody just said something in here. One said, I say I'm very blessed. That's
I saw
good.
that. Yeah.
Another one says, so much of this is what I've been covering with my therapist for a few years, reframing
Hmm.
the negative thoughts, being
Right.
aware of catastrophic thinking, etc.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so see, so you can just come to a couple of these conferences. You don't have to go to a
That's
therapist.
right. So should I put my contact information in the
Yes,
chat?
please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Um,
So,
we're finished.
yeah, we're going to be
Thank you
just
again
about
so
wrapping
much,
up.
Linda. Thank you so much for having this and for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here today and check out his course. I think you can all learn a lot at your own speed and I really like having, the male perspective here in caregiving.
Yeah,
There are a lot of guys that don't talk about it.
right,
So yeah,
right.
put all your information in the chat
Okay,
room
will do.
and just repeat again your website, etc.
Yeah, I'll put all that in the
But
chat.
say
Oh,
it too.
okay. My email is rick@forfamilycaregivers.com. That's FOR. The course is at caregivermasterycourse.com.
Okay.
And then I have a free Facebook group where I post videos. I post a video every Monday and every Thursday. They're short, 5, 6 minutes. And you're more than welcome to join my Facebook group, and I'll put that in the chat as well.
Okay, and I'll put it all in the description of the show when
Okay.
everything is the conference when everything is
Right.
over.
Okay. Again, thank you, Linda. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a delicious day.
You too. Bye-bye,
Okay,
everybody.
everybody, we're going to hear from a couple of our wonderful sponsors. And then next we have Kevin Duguay from Super Patch, which Patch I think is one of the best new things in the world. So stay tuned to learn a little bit more.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do.
Hi there.
Call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
My mom was getting older, but she was able to live pretty independently until recently. When her case manager told me she would be discharged from rehab in just a few days, I didn't know what to do. But I knew for sure that she couldn't go back living alone at home. So that's when I contacted Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. My Senior Living Concierge, Lisa, was there for me through the whole process and was a free service for us to compare in-home care options and how that cost would compare to assisted living. With Lisa's help, we found a great new home for Mom, and she is thriving. Take it from me, don't go through this journey alone.
Hi, I'm Ellie Baldwin, co-founder and president of Sunways Senior Living Concierge. We're a free placement and concierge service for families to help compare senior living communities and find the best place for you or a loved one. Call us today at 727-314-6451 or find us online at sunwaysseniorliving.com.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. He asked all his therapists to help him undertake some of the house chores. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey.
Guaranteed to make you laugh through your tears, Linda Burhan's book, Good Night and God Bless, is filled with humor and heartfelt inspiration to aid anyone facing the challenge of caring for a loved one at the end of life. Her story offers hope for human strength and understanding of weaknesses during a difficult time. Life doesn't normally prepare us to become a loved one's caregiver. When it happens, it's usually sudden. A diagnosis of an illness, age-related frailty, dementia, and life suddenly is anything but normal. And because we don't even know what we don't know, where do we turn to for help or guidance? In Connecting Caregivers, Answers to the Questions You Didn't Know You Needed to Ask, Linda offers information, education, and inspiration from her own experience and from experts whose advice, practical tools, and personal stories will empower and guide you. Make sure to add these inspiring books to your collection today. Available on Amazon.com.
Caregivers are the unsung heroes of our healthcare system,
supporting mobility, dignity, and independence every single day.
At Urban Polling, we recognize your dedication, and we're here to support you with tools that make a real difference.
Our evidence-based activator polls are designed by an occupational therapist to promote safety, stability, and strength for clients with conditions such as Parkinson's, arthritis, stroke recovery, and more.
But beyond physical benefits, they create new moments of connection and confidence. And for caregivers who want to learn how to safely introduce walking poles to their clients,
we offer the Activator Program, a professional course that provides step-by-step training, safety guidelines, and clinical resources.
Whether you're a family caregiver, PSW, or allied health professional, the Activator Program is your pathway to safer, more engaging mobility support. Caregivers give so much. Let us give something back. Learn more at urbanpolling.com and discover how activator polls can empower both you
and the people you care for.
These folks can help you with all kinds of problems. I'd recommend them. And by the way, they're all pretty nice too.
All righty. So this has been a fabulous day. We've had so many wonderful speakers, and now we have a dear friend of mine, Kevin Duguay, with us. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Linda. Great to be here. Not good to be here. Great to be here.
This is great to be here. Like I said, we've been having a great day, a lot of information, and now we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. And so I'm going to step out. I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll chat.
Okay, great. So I won't share maybe I will share my screen. Let's do that. Let me go to, let's find, here we go. Let's optimize everything. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
And you can see that, Linda?
We got it. We're good.
Okay, fantastic. So for those who don't know me, I have known Linda now for several years, and we have connected, no pun intended, through a mutual mutual love of helping others in our own different ways. And I get the pleasure of sharing about a product and a science that's very, very fond to me because of the people that we've been able to help in this area of neuroscience. And I'm going to make it simple for us all, because what I've learned as a clinician, I work here up in Burlington, Ontario, Canada, with a wonderful doctor here at a clinic called Biogem, and it's a functional neuroregenerative clinic. And the caregiving side is dear to me because I've been down this journey with my father-in-law who had MS, and my mother with her challenges, and I have a potential other family member that I'll be probably getting involved with as well on the younger side, because life happens. And so to be around different options to help people is part of is the cool thing about, for example, this conference. And I was just tickled into watching that little clip on urban polling, because yeah, man, those walking poles make a huge difference. And we're going to talk a bit about that as well. So I get the fun part of closing out the day and talking about what you see here. And I'm going to just stop the screen share for a second. I want to show you on camera what this actually looks like live. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. So you can see this wafer thin technology. You can see there's an imprint. There's a good shot of it right there. There's an imprint on this patch. So we're going to be talking about this technology and specifically what it does up here and how it works. And I think you'll be quite amazed when you start to see what is possible with the brain through touch technology. So let's get into this, and I'm looking forward to see where this goes. So again, so my background, just so you know, I'm 64 years old, so I'm an active ager, and I have been blessed to be part of the sports medicine, health and wellness, clinical teaching side of sports medicine, exercise science, health and wellness for 40 plus years. And the top 2/3 of this slide is my journey to when I arrived in this field of wearable neurotechnology. Now, as a disclaimer, I was not taught any of this in school. This is something I learned 3 decades later, and through this journey is how I met Linda, through another good friend by the name of Jen Moyer, and it's become this wonderful relationship in this light. So you can see on the bottom left-hand corner from the 2 or 3 slides in, this is where I work, and I'm in a really cool part of science to help people with their quality of life. And there's some images down here in the bottom. So on that side, share a little bit of information. So you may know this if you're in the caregiving side, or you're not, or you're on the receiving side of the caregiver. But we're talking about the critical system in the body. And when I present this to people, I have fun, right? Because I say, what's the answer is on the screen, by the way. I said, what's the first system formed in the womb? When you're very small, bunch of cells coming together, it's the nervous system. So when I ask this question to kids, I go, hey, if the nervous system is the first system formed in the womb, it must be the most. They all get the right answer. And if you're joining with me on beside your screen, behind your screen, it's the most important, Kev. You're right. So it's most important. And when you look at what it does, if you look at the bottom line, for example, your brain is busy. Just so you know what that number means, folks, it's 64 with 15 zeros after it. This is how wonderful our body is made, but this is how powerful the nervous system is in regards to what it does. So we're going to be talking about how we help this system work better. Okay. Now, the next thing, skin. So neurohaptic, brain, haptic, touch, skin. Okay, so that's where the word comes from. And so what we've learned in the body is the skin, which is the first bullet, is the largest organ in the body. It's very important, but it has this beautiful part called the nervous system or sensory nerves that's relaying information to where? Up here, up to the brain. And it's a continual process. So this science that you're going to see here in a few minutes is taking advantage of what's in our body. And like you saw with the title called Braille for the Brain. So we're going to be using the power of touch to do some pretty special things with your central nervous system. And so like all of us, when we came across something, whether it was you saw in the advertisement, whether it's urban polling or whether it's a type of exercise, there's always that initial encounter that going, wow, this is going to help me with my quality of life. So this is a big thing I've learned in the caregiver side. And we're going to get into some of the challenges in a second. But what I've learned is that when you encounter something that has a profound effect on you, it leaves a mark. And this was a very profound mark for me because when I met this gentleman who discovered this power of this technology through touch, through a patch, which I showed you, he was in a similar journey as a caregiver, caring for his mother who had MS. So when he was a young boy, this is Jay Dhaliwal, his mother contracted MS. And he did everything he could, like a caregiver, to find a way to help his mother. And in his journey, discovered something. And that's when I met him 11 years ago, when I discovered through touch what could happen with your brain and something very specific in the area of balance and stability. So as an active ager, imagine being able to transform instantly your balance, power, and stability. That's what happened to me 11 years ago. We're going to talk about this because this is a big component in our clinic. It's a big component with active aging, and we look at people what I call it neurological inconveniences. Or another term that I met with an individual in Florida when I was down there a few weeks ago, working with Parkinsonian groups, is a movement disorder. So we're going to talk about this to how I can help you, show you something to help you understand. So when we look at health challenges, so myself, when I was helping with my father-in-law, and I look at the strain that we go through as the care. So I'm going to talk about both here. I'm going to talk about the caregiver and the person that you're caring for, because you're like a team, okay? Because we need both. And this applies not only to the older demographics, but to the younger ones. So there are caregivers that we've met. We have them here in the clinic that are caring for a child that needs continual care because of certain challenges. So when we look at the mental side of an ongoing procedure process that we're doing, this is what's potentially waiting for us. And so just like the previous ad you saw with the lady with in the military side, is I got to look after myself. So I'm going to talk about you here as the caregiver. I've learned this as a 64-year-old grandfather now, that I need to look after myself. It's very important. And so when we look at these challenges that we face in a continual state of caring, that we give, well, what about me, Kev? What about helping me to be my best? Because not only is that person I'm caring for depending on me, but I need me to be my best as well, because I'm the one that's doing a lot of the work to help them in that area. So that's one thing I want you to remember now. The second thing is the physical side, okay? Because I saw that I saw the toll that it took on our family of all the work that went in looking after an individual who has now more challenges. And so, and I've seen here in the clinic, for example, when the families that we treat where there's somebody with a neurological inconvenience going, now it's their sleep is being affected. I'm talking about the caregiver here. So when your sleep, hang on, let me shut my phone off. I should have done this earlier. Is when your sleep is being affected, your body is now going under a lot of duress. And this is a big part of what we're going to be talking about these with the neurotech as we go forward here, of how we can show you some options to help you with these areas. We look at the wear and tear it takes on the body. We look at what happens to the immune system under stress and lack of sleep. And then your own physical health may be compromised because you're so busy caring for the other person that you are now neglecting yourself. And we've seen these people here as an example in the clinic. They come in, Kev, I got to start looking after myself now because I'm starting to wear myself down. So the caregiver has their challenges. And what we saw on the other side is this. So you may have seen this term, and if not, this is it. This you can learn from this, is what we've learned on the medical side is we're trying to help people with their challenges. And there's different approaches and there's different options. Today I'm going to show you an option. I'm here to educate, teach, show, you'll decide. So what we do with everybody here that comes, for example, in our clinic or the people that I work with. What we have seen, and this is in the statistics, okay, that the loved ones that we care for that are on multiple medications, okay, so polypharmacy, 5 or more, these are some of the side effects of being on multiple meds, okay? And so if I look at falls and cognitive and the interactions, and I said, if there was something I could show you as an option to help in some of those areas, is that of interest for you? They go, really, Kev? There's something else out there that I can try, I can use to help not only me, but the person I'm caring for? Because I saw what happened to my father-in-law with MS. I saw how it affected his balance and the falls that he had and the scrapes on his shins and trying to get by with the cane and the walker. And this is before I came into this science, okay? I didn't have it at the time. We're trying everything we can to help with his mobility and his confidence and getting out of a chair and being able to ambulate and anything we could. So this is what we're going to talk about. So when we look at ourselves, when I share this in my presentations to different groups, so I want you to look at this picture and see, where are you in this picture? Are you more on the left side or are you more on the right side? And they go, you'll decide. There's an audience participation. And I said, imagine if I could show you something that could help you get from the left side to the right side. Really, Kev? Yeah, that's why we're here today. That's why Linda asked me to come and share about this. So this is my mission, is to help people get from the left side to the right side. And you're going to see a few profound components here in what it does. So when we look at the person receiving the care, or potentially even yourself, because of what the toll it's taken on your body, you look at these red circles and you go, these are some of the challenges that we face in looking in the polypharmacy side or in just the ongoing care that we need to provide for our loved ones or in a medical setting. These are the challenges that people are faced with in regards to choices that we make. So when seeing what's out there in society, you start talking to the caregivers and you start talking to the people receiving the care and ourselves in a clinical component. Is there something else that we can do from listening to the people to give them what they would love to see? And I want you to draw your attention to the top circle and the far left. I'm going to talk about something that's so unique and so profound. Why? Because it's drug-free and there's no contraindications. Okay, some people, this doesn't make any sense, Kev. It will in a few minutes. This is what I've learned. This is what I've been a part of for the last 11 years of my life in the health and wellness field of caring for people who have different challenges. So again, you look at these circles, I go, it's simple to use. It's non-invasive. There's no side effects. Please tell me more. I love to learn more. So this is what inspired Jay in his journey to help his mother with MS. And this is what we come to the table with. And this is what we're going to talk about today in a bit more detail. So when you look at this slide and you see these phrases, these statements, drug-free, non-reactionary, FDA registered, non-addictive, easy to use. This was designed for people that have movement disorders or a neurological inconvenience, or just me as a 64-year-old, that you have something that can help me be a better clinician, father, grandfather? Yes. So what I'm going to do to explain this, I'm going to let a video do the talk. It's only 90 seconds, but it's going to explain the science behind this. And I have a lot more in a few different slides, but we're going to keep it simple today because there's always more that we can share and we can talk about if we have time at the end. But I let the video do the explain because it's going to tie back to the title you saw, Braille for the Brain. This is the power of touch. Just so you know, they still don't know how blind people can read, but they know that they can because it's been around for a couple hundred years. That's the power of touch. What Jay has learned is something called neural coding, coding, through a patch, which you saw, works through your skin, through your nervous system. And so here we go. So I'm going to play the video. It's 90 seconds long. Enjoy it. And here we go.
Super Patch is the most advanced wearable technology in the market, with 15 plus years of research and development. Super Patches are 100% drug-free, non-invasive, and backed by science. Our skin absorbs and transmits information from many different types of stimulation. Every physical, emotional, and psychological function has a corresponding neural code or message in our brain that controls and regulates it. Due to factors such as injury, stress, genetics, etc., these neural codes can get disrupted, leading to poor health, wellness, and performance. At Super Patch, we've decoded these neural messages that manage the neural control of physical, emotional, and psychological functions. Every single Super Patch has a unique pattern of ridges in it, similar to a QR code. When these ridges come in contact with our skin, the receptors in and around our skin send a message to our brain which then decodes it. This intricate pattern of ridges is known as vibrotactile technology, or VTT for short. When the patch stimulates the skin receptors, it generates and sends a very complex signal to our brain to correct the specific neural codes that may be disrupted. The effects are almost immediate, so you focus less on overcoming wellness and quality of life challenges and more on living a happier and healthier life. Whether it's improving your sleep, enhancing your sports performance, or unlocking other life-enhancing benefits, Super Patch has you covered. Try Super Patch today and start your health and wellness journey.
So this is the simplicity, but the power. In a couple slides, I'm going to show you a practical application with an activator of what happens with their balance and stability instantaneously with this tech. This is what's so profound about one of the technologies. Because when I work with older clients, I have a very simple line. And I have this with my high-performance athletes as well. And the kids. How important is balance, power, and stability to your quality of life? You go, Kev, it's really important. So if I could show you how I could instantly, and you heard me correctly, instantly, not tomorrow, not in a week, not next month, instantly improve your balance, power, stability, stamina, speed, endurance, posture, respiratory function, pain management, without drugs, without chemicals, without side effects, without counter reactions. Would you like to see it? If not, no big deal. They go, absolutely, Kev. So this is how it works. So you saw, we said earlier in the slide, nervous system, first system formed in the womb. Every body functions a neural program. This is a practical application. Tomorrow morning when you get dressed, I learned this from a very smart neurologist in Chicago. He says, you know, Kev, you know when you put the right leg in first to get dressed, when you put on your underwear or your pants? I go, yeah. You know what? Try this tomorrow. Put the left leg in first. Really? Yeah. Just try it and see how it goes. You want to have fun tomorrow, folks? Try that. Or when you put your shirt on, you always put one arm in first. Okay, I'm a lefty, so my left arm goes in first and then my right. Tomorrow, try the right arm, then the left arm. See what it feels like. Brain goes, what are you doing, Kev? We always get dressed this way. Why are you doing it another way? Actually, you know what? Because it's very good for your brain. That's a talk for another call. And so what happens, as you can see in the second paragraph, things get stuck. Life happens, as they call it. And so the pattern that you see on this patch that you saw in the video is like a QR code. And it works through your nervous system. This is what's so profound about this. It's a simple patch that works through touch. And it does something wonderful in your brain. I'm going to show you something here. So we know this. I shared this earlier. How do blind people read? Oh, yeah, there's bumps on a page. And the brain goes, I know what those bumps are, Kev. Those bumps and that pattern is the letter A. And you'd see people learning how to communicate through touch. We use the same mechanism, okay? We use the same mechanism. So I'm going to show a practical application of this tech. Now, I want you to imagine I am where you are right now with your loved one. I've been doing this for 11 years. I have been able to share this with the most elite athletes in the world and the most fragile and frail. I'm going to show you what happens to this active ager on the left of what she knows about balance and stability. And you're going to see what happens when I put that patch that I showed you earlier on her arm. And you're going to see what happens to her balance. Okay? Now, when I share this with people to explain this in English, this is what I say. So you're going to hear it. We're going to participate. So if you're watching with me right now, I want you to imagine for me the worst place for traffic where you live. You got it? You go, I got it, Kev. I-75 was in Florida a few weeks ago. I-95, whatever. And now I want you to imagine for me your favorite place in the world that you've ever been to. You got it? Yeah, I got it, Kev. Okay, so where you are right now, whatever you're dealing with, neurologically, you're in that traffic jam. Big sad face comes over people. When I put the patch on you, you're going to be neurologically in your favorite place instantly. They go, what? Let me show you. I got all that other stuff. I got all the science and I got all those papers and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to show you. So when I go to seniors' homes, so what I do, show and tell. So you're going to watch, you're going to listen, and I'll cue it for you as we go through. So this is lateral stability. So this is dynamic. So feet together. I'll stop and talk here in a second. So
this is a tough test for seniors. Okay.
So a lot of seniors don't like putting their feet together because they don't have a stable base. Okay. Now I want you to see something with her as I play this along here, as I cue her up into the position. So what we do is this is fall prevention. We're going to go fist over fist. I'm going to point something out here. And I've noticed this with my seniors.
I'm going to slowly push down to the floor. Don't let me push your arms down. You stay tall like a tree.
Okay.
Here. I'm going to slowly.
Okay. I want you to see here. You see how she's kind of in a forward lean position? She's not able to stand perfectly straight. This is why you saw the commercial earlier with urban poling, why poles are so critical for balance, because the poles are in front of you and they help keep you upright. It's part of walking, right? So when you're already in this angle of this lady, your center of balance is already forward. In other words, if you catch your foot on something, you're already closer to the floor. We know what happens when the older demographics fall and break something. The statistic. So what I'm doing here now is I'm going to be pulling straight down to the floor, and I gently apply force to disturb her balance. I'm trying to see how much strength does she have through her core to stay straight so she doesn't fall. Watch what happens to her heels. Let me get my mouse here. Watch what happens to her heels as I gently pull down on her fists. Watch what happens.
Push down. Wants to resist. Okay, very
There
easy.
she comes forward so easily off. Watch, I'll do it again.
I'm going to push down and pull out, resist. Okay.
And her heels come right off the floor. So I stop. This is not a strength test. This is a balance assessment. I'm trying to see how much muscular control do you have to stay straight without moving off your feet. Okay? That's without the tech. That's you being in the traffic jam. Now we're going to put on the patch that you saw in the video, but this patch works on a specific part of your brain called the brain stem. You don't know anything about the brain stem. The function of the brain stem: balance, power, stability. Watch what happens to her. Okay, so I put the patch on her arm. The nervous system picks up the pattern. You saw this on the video. Watch what happens.
Okay, let's do this one. Let's do the feet together because you're stronger. Feet together.
Feet together again.
Fist over fist.
Fist over fist.
Two fists.
Trying to get her queued up. Very gentle.
Okay. I'm going to slowly push down.
Watch what happens. She doesn't move.
I almost beat you.
Yeah, you did.
I love these seniors that get excited. I almost beat you. She's in her 80s. This is the change that happens, and you're going to hear me correctly, every single time. It doesn't matter what you have. I tell people, I do not treat, diagnose, and cure. That's the brain's job. Our job with our technology is it optimizes brain function through touch. Instantly. You saw this, what happened with this lady. And there's more. Okay? So you may not know of this study, but this is something you can try. I show this to the clients here in the clinic. Did you know that there's a study out there to see where you are with your balance? And it's linked to longevity. So it's a biomarker, as they call it. You don't have to do it here. Go home, put a couch beside you, 2 chairs, have somebody around you if you have poor balance. I got to try this, Kev. Stand on 1 foot, okay? Stand on 1 foot. I'm standing on 1 foot right now. You got to trust me because you can't see my feet. And can you stand still for 10 seconds? Not 9, not 9.5, not 8, 10. On both feet. Try this. If you can't, you have a balance challenge. You saw what happened to the lady. You mean, Kev, all you got to do is put on like a little sticker? Yep. It's got a neuro code in it. Works for every single human on the planet. Same QR code, basically, in layman's terms. That's the difference. Okay? In the brain, we have a lot of smart people that we met in this journey. There's a field of science in neuroscience where they do what's called brain mapping, called QEEG brain mapping, quantitative electroencephalogram. That's why we go short, QEEG, easy to remember. Basically, this picture that you see, this is you on the traffic jam without the patch on the left-hand side, red. Green is the optimal color when they do this type of analysis in the brain. Okay, so this when we look at people with neurological challenges, we can look, I call it under the hood. We can look inside the brain. They put a cap on you and they measure how the brain's communicating and you get a report card. Does it look green like when I was in Florida 3 weeks ago? Everything was green. I was in Toronto and I was on brown. I said, I love the color green. You know what? The color green is the preferred color. It goes red and yellow and blue and light blue. There's moments for that, but it's not supposed to stay there. It's not supposed to stay there. Red's too fast, dark blue's too slow. Green is optimal. Patch goes on, boom, there you are in the green. That's what happened to her balance instantly. So we have seen this with our studies. When we put the patch, put the device on the brain, look at the report card, as I call it, look at the report, get the score, they can measure all this stuff, put the patch on, watch what happens. If you want to learn more, reach out to me afterwards, leave my email. I can send you the video. You can watch what happens in real time with this $50,000 device on somebody's head, and you can see like, holy jumping, Kev. Really? Yeah. I can save you the $50,000. I can save you the thousands of dollars on the test by just doing the balance assessment we saw with the other lady. Okay. So again, imagine being able to put a patch on and taking you from that left side, which we talked about earlier, and get you to the right side. If I can help you with the balance and all these other components, we'll get there in a sec, going, holy smokes, Kev, really? Yeah, this is why we keep doing what we're doing, because we meet people that have these challenges. Now, when I meet people, and I got my active agers, I'm going to talk to my pickleball people here now, for example, okay? I got my active agers thing, and Kev, I live in the villages. A friend who's down there in Florida going, man, we got a lot of activities going, right? Linda's involved with this. Why? Activities are powerful for you. So if you saw the lady, if you go to the fifth point, you go to the fifth bullet, 10% improvement on dual leg stability. Kev, you give me like double-digit improvements on my balance, and all you got to do is put a little sticker on? Yeah. That's as simple as it is. But those numbers that you see here, this is very powerful. This is helping you with your quality of life. More eccentric force. You have more power in your body to do what you need to get out of a chair, to climb stairs, to stand, to sit, to posture. These are the numbers that we have. And so in our journey, we started meeting people. So we help people, and the people that we were helping were being seen by clinicians. And they go, hey, you're walking better. You're moving better. You got better balance. You got more strength. What are you doing? Oh, I got my friend Linda there. She told me about this stuff. I've been trying it. We have over 10,000 practitioners now using this technology as a tool in their clinical practice. Doesn't take the place of whatever you are doing as a practitioner. Keep exercising, keep doing your urban polling, keep doing your aquafit, you want to add something to enhance the performance of your body? No drugs, no chemicals, no side effects. Kev, I like what I'm starting to see here. So we started meeting people. They did their own independent study with their own clients, and they go, you know what? I have a specialty in an area. I have a specialty in gerontology, Kev. I work with a lot of people that have like movement disorders and people that have balance challenges. Yep, been there. I was in Florida with the Florida team and up here in Canada in conferences. And I do a very simple demonstration like you just saw. I'm going to show you a couple more in a second here because I got some more time. And you're going to watch what happens to these people going, holy smokes, Kev, really? So you just start finding the right kind of people that just love helping people. And so because we had met the medical people, we got studies. I'm going to point out a couple of things. So there are people that want this, no problem. We have a medical practitioner side, but I want to share something here. This is like profound, folks. Chronic pain affects a lot of people. Can you imagine? But it's reality now. There's an option. There's an option with a patch, a neural patch, no drugs, no chemicals, no contraindications, no side effects. And you look at the study that was done with this patch, this is revolutionary. This is revolutionary, these numbers. It's an option, folks. It's all it is. Kev, you know what? I would love to try something other than what I'm doing because this is a lot simpler. You choose. And so, again, when you have this kind of day 7 and day 14, and you look at the numbers, they're not small numbers. And people go, I'd like to try this. Go ahead. Love to be able to help you in this. Again, it's so out there. I don't want to use this language, but this is what happens with technology. That who'd ever imagine that we could have a phone that just by touching our phone, we could get somewhere by the power of touch. We're using the same science with this. Another challenge that the caregivers face is because of the wear and tear on your body, and you're dealing with people that, for example, the person you're caring for has sleep challenges, and they're waking up 2 to 3 times a night or 4 times a night or whatever, and your sleep is being broken. Well, we know what happens. And so, again, imagine being able to utilize a different pattern, different patch that works on optimizing the sleep networks to help you with your deep sleep and your REM sleep, which is critical for us. So in the medical field, in fact, I'll give you a story, folks. In the professional athletics field, when I talk to the top trainers, they go, Kev, sleep is everything. It's the most important thing, Kev. Why? Because you repair and rebuild and regenerate when you sleep. And when sleep is compromised, the body doesn't respond well. And there's a great book, if you love to read, there's a great book by a gentleman out of California. His name is Dr. Matthew Walker. He has a book called Why We Sleep. Read the book. I share this with our clients. I go, read the book. You learn everything about sleep and why it's so important. I go, Kev, wow, I never knew this. So again, imagine an option to help you with sleep. And again, whether you're dealing with, paraplegics, etc. So I'll share a story because I want to show you a wheelchair demonstration with this tech. This is the first time I came across a Paralympic athlete or paraplegic at that time. So you can see the image. He's in a motorcycle accident, okay? Hit and run, left to die in a ditch. Nurse finds him, get him to hospital, traveled all over the world to rebuild his body.
Just for the conference.
Okay? And I'm going to show you what happens to his core stability with the patch. So he's rebuilt his body. He's competing. He's training. He's got these big arms here, okay? And I'm going to show him, and I was so excited. This is Starbucks. Okay, I do this anywhere. I'm about helping people. So I want you to imagine you are in a chair. You're using a walker, and now I'm sitting you in your walker, and watch what happens to Lee with his core strength with the patch, and watch his expression. So same position as the lady saw.
Your arms may drop. You may come forward.
He's in a very safe place. I do this a lot with my seniors.
So you lock and load.
I'm going to sit. Let it roll here. I'm going to push straight down on his feet, and you see him just come forward in his chair. So now he repositions himself. We organize the camera here.
Yeah, I just want to be able to.
I'm going to do it again.
Good, sure.
Push down slowly. He's trying to sit tall in his chair. Watch what happens. He comes forward right in the chair. Okay? You put the patch on, just like you saw with the senior. Okay? Put on the skin. Because it's neuro, it's instant. Within 7 seconds, the brain has gone from that red that you saw to the green. He doesn't know this. This is the first paraplegic I was able to share the demo on. Got the patch on.
Lock and load.
Reposition.
I'm like stoked.
Fist over fist. Watch this. I push down, like planted.
That's a bit different. That's sick. My trunk stability is a bit different. That's weird.
You feel a little different.
Yeah, it's different. Like, what kind of voodoo magic are you guys into?
Do you hear what he said? This is why it's so profound for me. Here's a guy that went all over the world, spine specialist, to rebuild his spine. do the demo. He goes, this is really different. He goes, what kind of voodoo science is this? These are the terms I get from people because it's like, I've never seen this before. I go, I know, isn't it amazing? I've been at this 11 years. I get excited like this every time I get to go share this with people. Why? Because I know what's going to happen. Because it starts with one and it just keeps going. So here we go, a bit more here. So these are other people I've met. Okay, this is Alfred with his mobility challenge. This is Marie. She had chronic pain. This is another Marie. I'll play this one because I want you, again, she's in a chair. She's got challenges. And I want you to, actually, I'll play Bonnie first in the middle here. I want you to listen to Bonnie about her pain. Okay? Just listen to her. Okay? I did the demo on her. The patch is on. Just listen to the story. It's so beautiful.
How's that?
Okay, I'm Bonnie Christie. I'm a nurse from Toronto, and I've been here for about 3 years. And the doctor said I have deterioration of the cerebellum, and I'll probably end up in total care with, I can't do anything. I don't want that, and things have been improving slowly. I've been trying and working, and then on Tuesday when we had the patch on, and the pain is gone. The pain particularly is the biggest thing. The pain in my legs, I haven't slept for maybe 2 hours every day. I had 6 hours sleep on Monday or Tuesday night, and last night I had the same thing. So the pain is gone. I can stand up a little bit, and the dizziness is much less. That's the big thing. So I'm going to work on that. I want to go back to my walker. I don't like being in a wheelchair. That's my goal.
Great. See, I love these stories. This is what I live for. Tell you a little story on the side here. So as we started this journey, folks, I said we have the medical side. Okay, we got that. We started collecting stories, like all of us in the caregiving field, of people we've helped. So we have a testimonials page. We have over 70,000 testimonies. 70,000 of this gift in helping people, just like the Bonnies. So I'm just going to show you a couple things. This is what's possible with tech. All these patterns that we have work on different neural networks in the brain. I'm going to go quickly here. If you want more information, please reach out. There's lots of stuff we can send you. You saw we shared the study. We have a patch for pain. We have a patch for my athletes. We have a patch for mobility and stability. We have a patch for weight, body metabolism. A patch for people who are having just a rainy, cloudy days. Things are kind of tough. We have, just got to minimize it here on the top. We have a patch for anxiety. The anxiety of dealing with a challenged lover, caregiver, person we love. The stress of that. The patch that optimizes your skin. This one I love. This one optimizes your immune system. For my medical people out there, we do something called, I'll go quickly, called a live blood cell analysis. We change the physiology of the blood in under 30 minutes with this neurotech pattern. For those of you that have to do a lot of thinking, we have a focus patch, men's vitality, addiction networks, and sleep. And I'm almost done. And we have, where am I here? Hurry up, Kev, hurry up. The new one that's come out dealing with energy. Imagine wearing a patch that helps with balance and stability and optimizing your energy. So again, I don't treat, diagnose, and care, just optimize. Optimize different neurological networks that are responsible for different functions. And so on that note, that's my dog on the left. I love. That's the piece I get to walk with her
Yeah.
in my joy of what the dog gives for me and what I give back to her. It's the same joy I feel when I get to care for people and show them an option of what is out there in this world of science and technology and health and wellness and medical and functional neuroscience and all those big words. But I just want you to remember this. Imagine if I could help you get from a traffic jam to the beach in under 7 seconds. That's what we have with this technology. But you won't know if you don't try it. That's all I'm saying. So if this is like, man, this has got me spinning, Kev. Yeah, I know. You should see when I go present to the doctors. I went in Florida, I was at a couple of medical facilities, and they were like, what the heck is this? I met the PhDs and all those smart people. But what I learned, because I'm always learning, you don't know what you don't know. And we're always learning. That's why I'm so grateful for Linda for putting on the conference, just like you saw with the ads. Like urban polling has transformed my care for my clients that have those conditions that they're trying to ambulate, but they need help. They need, like, Kevin, I need training wheels. You got training wheels for me? I'll just stop the share here for a second here. He said, you got any training wheels, Kev? Yeah, I got these poles. All right, use them. Let me show you how to use, just like you saw in the advert. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm able to, I can get back to walking. Great. Keep going. Why? This is what the body was made to do. It was made to move. Every system in the body requires movement. So on that note, it's always a pleasure. And Linda, thank you so much for having me to share as part of your conference. And I just put it out there. If you are intrigued by what you saw, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Linda and say, this is like pretty cool stuff. That's right. And then we take it from there.
And if there's anyone, so Kevin's in Canada, I'm in Florida. I'm in the Tampa Bay area. If any of you would want us to come and do a demonstration or come to your senior community, either we could do it or we can find someone in your area that can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, because we just cover our own areas, but wherever you are, if you're looking for somebody to come and do a demonstration in your community or just even come and meet with you to tell you more about it, just email me at lindaburhans@aol.com and we will find someone for you.
Great.
Thank you so much, my friend. I so appreciate you. What's the last thing you want them to hear today?
Oh, last thing you want to hear. You know what? Never give up. Never lose hope, because there's always people out there that are cheering for you and pulling for you and are desiring to help you in your role as a caregiver, because I'm in that role right now in the clinic and with my family, but also for those that you are caring for, that there is some other options out there to help them with their quality of life. And like I said, Linda said, we're more than happy to pursue this on another call with your people.
Yeah.
And to show you firsthand with a live presentation of what this tech does.
Nothing like the real thing. Yeah.
It's like, just like Coca-Cola, it's the real thing. It's like super, it's a real thing. And you'll go, he's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where we're
All
at.
right, my friend. Thank you so much for being with me today.
My
We'll talk
pleasure.
soon.
Okay. Bless you. Take care. Bye.
And thank you everyone who's here with the conference. It's been a fabulous day. We've had some wonderful speakers. I'm so glad. I'm so glad at the interaction.